Oysters, nature's natural filtration system, have been part of Southwest Florida's history for thousands of years. In fact, there's recorded accounts of oyster beds being so thick, ships struggle to get up the river. Unfortunately, those oysters are disappearing. I'm Fox 4 meteorologist Andrew Shipley, and I spent the day out in the water learning about some of the restorative efforts.
I think we've probably lost 90% of our oyster reefs historically.
I wanted to see this loss for myself, so I joined Dr. Eric Milbrandt with Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation to survey several existing oyster beds in the estuary. One of the first things I noticed, where oyster beds once were, are now just sandbars.
A lot of the oyster reefs in this area have been highly degraded, and when we started surveying the reefs to restore them, we noticed most of them are dead or almost dead.
These oyster beds are vital to the health of the Caloosahatchee estuary.
You'll walk up on an oyster reef, you'll notice the water's perfectly clear, and that's because they're filtering like crazy. So each oyster filters 50 gallons of water per oyster per day.
While oyster beds as a whole are in bad shape, all hope isn't lost. SCCF has restored several oyster beds, including this one they started working on in 2017.
If you bring the substrate to the right location, the oysters will settle on it and grow. And today we have more than 1,000 oysters per square meter.
SCCF is in fact planning on restoring 20 acres of reef in the next 5 years. That includes this area you see here. While it doesn't look like much, it covers over 3 acres and will be the largest restoration they've ever taken on.
There are existing reefs that are this big that are natural reefs, but they're very few and far between.
Starting in April, Dr. Milbrandt says they plan to cover this area with about 1,500 tons of shell.
So the restored reefs take about 2 years to look like a natural reef, and so it doesn't take very long at all. There's a lot of potential in this region for oyster restoration. I would even say statewide. We need to be building back some of these habitats to make our ecosystem more resilient.
On Sanibel, meteorologist Andrew Shipley, Fox 4.